Hello everyone. So far we have started our third chapter, that is nothing but the soil classification. In that we have seen what is the mechanical analysis. Okay, the mechanical analysis is nothing but the particle size analysis. In that there are definitely two methods, that is nothing but the sieve analysis is there and sedimentation analysis is there. In that sieve analysis we have seen what is dry sieve analysis and wet sieve analysis. The next part is about the sedimentation analysis. But before going deep into what is the sedimentation analysis, we will go through what is the procedure for finding out the percentage finer or computation of the percentage finer. Okay, so as we perform the dry sieve analysis or wet sieve analysis or sedimentation analysis, depending on that, okay, after performing this experimental procedure or this experimental work, we will get a certain report that on certain size of a sieve there is a certain mass of a particles or percent mass of a soil is retained. Okay, depending on that we have to plot a particle size curve or a gradation curve. Okay, so as to plot this gradation curve or so as to plot this particle size curve, we need the percentage finer for a particular size of a particle. Okay, so before explaining what is the procedure for computation of this percentage finer, we will see what is the percentage finer and what is particle size distribution curve. Okay, so this is the particle size distribution curve, or we can say it as a gradation curve. In this plot or in this curve, on x-axis we will plot particle size, that will be nothing but the sieve sizes. Okay, and this scale will be a log scale. X-axis, on x-axis it will be a log scale, and on y-axis we will perform or we will plot percentage finer. On y-axis we will plot percentage finer. So this is the particular graph that is plotted based on this our sieve analysis report. So the question arises, on x-axis why do we plot in a log scale? Okay, it says x-axis says we plot particle size. Okay, so when we consider a soil mass and if we consider the particle size, then there will be the vast variation. Okay, even if we consider the sieves, okay, then we have sieve sizes ranging from 80 mm to 75 micron. So there is a large variation. Okay, and actually we will plot the sizes or sieve sizes on this x scale. As there is a large variation, so as to accommodate this large number of sieves or this large number of the particle sizes, we will plot on log scale as it is in a multiple of 10. After 0.1 you have to plot or you have to give it as a 1. Okay, so that is a log scale. So that's why we will get a straight line and we can accommodate wide range of data, and that will provide easy analysis of this curve. Okay, so that's why we plot this particle size in a log scale. The next question is, what is percentage finer? Okay, so now suppose I consider this 1 mm size of a particle, and that for particular this 1 mm size, the percentage finer is 80%. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that if I have taken the soil sample, then out of that the 80% particles of this soil sample will be finer than this 1 mm. Okay, so for 1 mm the percentage finer is 80%. It means that 80% of a soil mass of 100% soil mass is finer than this 1 mm size. Just like that, if we take an example of a 10 mm, then for this 10 mm we got the percentage finer approximately like 87%. It means that 87% of a particle size of a soil sample is smaller than this 10 mm. So there are a number of uses of this particle distribution curve or gradation curve. Depending on this we will find coefficient of uniformity and coefficient of curvature. So these are the derived parameters depending on that will help us to classify the soil. Okay, so what are the uses of this particle size analysis curve or gradation curve? We will see in the further lectures, but before that it is important to find out what is the percentage finer depending on this particle size analysis report or sieve analysis report. Okay, so first of all we will go through it. So as I said, the next part is about the computation of a percentage finer. Now suppose we have taken a certain soil mass M and we have performed the sieve analysis. While performing the sieve analysis, the largest sieve will be kept at the top and all other sieves with their decreasing sizes will be kept below these sieves. Okay, so that same sizes or that same sieves are written in this S sieve column. So S4 will be having size smaller than S3, like that. So in total there are 6 sieves and last is a span. Okay, the pan will collect soil passing through this sieve 6. As I have told you, depending on the largest size particle that is present within the soil sample, we will decide the total quantity that is taken for this sieve analysis. Okay, suppose we have taken this M as a total soil mass. So suppose on sieve S1 we have mass retained is M1. Okay, just like that for all other sieves we have certain mass is retained. Okay, suppose for S4 M4 mass is retained. The mass retained on each sieve will be expressed in a percentage with respect to total mass that we have taken for performing this sieve analysis. Okay. This mass of a soil sample which is retained on each sieve will be expressed in a percentage with respect to the total mass that we have taken for the sieve analysis. Okay. So for S1, P1 is a percentage of mass of a soil which is retained on this sieve. So it can be given as M1 by total mass M multiplied by 100. Just like that, percentage retained on each sieve is calculated. The next column is about the cumulative percentage retained. Okay, so this gives us idea about how much percentage of mass is retained on all of the above sieve sizes. So when I say S1, then for that cumulative percentage retained is C1, that is nothing but the P1. Okay, so P1 is nothing but the percentage which is retained on S1. But when I consider S3, on S3 the cumulative percentage retained is C3, that is nothing but the addition of this P1, P2 and P3, because on the all the above sieves, that is S1 and S2 have certain mass retained. Okay, that will be added together, and the mass which is retained on these sieves S3, that will be also expressed in a percentage and that will be added together. So that will be the cumulative percentage that is retained on S3. While calculating this cumulative percentage retained, you will find that for this span the cumulative percentage retained will be 100%. Why? Because it will be addition of all the masses that have retained on the all the sieves, that will be equal to M, that is nothing but the total soil mass. So that's why the cumulative percentage will be 100%. When we consider this sieve 1, C1 is cumulative percentage retained. Okay, that is nothing but the P1. Okay, it means that out of the soil only certain percentage of a soil has retained on this sieve 1. All other soil sample has passed through it. Okay, so how much amount of a soil fraction or how much percentage of the soil fraction has passed through this sieve, it has to be found out so as to find out this percentage finer. So N1 will be nothing but 100 minus C1. 100 is nothing but the percentage of a total mass, that is M1, and the C1 or P1 is nothing but the cumulative percentage retained on this sieve. So all the soil fraction has passed to it. So that's why when we deduct this C1 from this 100, we will get this percentage finer. Okay, so that's all about the procedure for finding out this percentage finer for particular sieve size. So depending on this report or depending on this analysis, we will plot particle size curve or gradation curve. So for that we will require particle size, that is nothing but the IS sieves sizes, and then after percentage finer for that particular sieve. Okay, so depending on these two columns, we are going to perform or we are going to plot the gradation curve or particle size analysis curve or particle size curve. Okay, so that's all about percentage finer, and that's little about particle size curve or gradation curve. Till now we have seen what is mechanical analysis. Mechanical analysis is nothing but the particle size analysis that can be done or that can be performed by the dry sieve analysis, wet sieve analysis and sedimentation analysis. In today's lecture we have seen the procedure related to computation of percentage finer, and also we have seen what is the gradation curve or particle size curve. Now we will see what is sedimentation analysis. Before going to the experimental procedure which is related to the sedimentation analysis, first of all we will see what is theory of sedimentation. This theory of a sedimentation is based on Stokes law. So first of all we will go through the Stokes law. The particles which are smaller than 75 micron cannot be sieved through the IS sieves because we do not have sieves which are smaller than 75 micron. In short, the sieve analysis of a fines is not possible. Okay, so the particle size analysis of a fines is carried out by sedimentation analysis. Okay, so this sedimentation analysis is based on this Stokes law. The Stokes law states that when a spherical particle settles in water or fluid of infinite extent, when we say infinite extent, it states that its width and its depth are of infinite extent. Means its width is infinite and its depth is also infinite. Okay, so when it settles in water, initially it will be having higher velocity, but as it spends some time in the fluid, there will be the drag force acting on all over the surface of the sphere, and the drag force will be acting in upward direction. So because of that, its velocity will be reduced. After certain time, it will possess a constant velocity. That constant velocity is nothing but the terminal velocity. Based on this, the Stokes law established a certain relationship between the velocity of the particle and the size of the particle or the diameter of the particle. The drag force, that is nothing but the Fd, that will be acting on all over the surface of the sphere. It is given by 6 pi r eta multiplied by V. Okay, where eta is nothing but the viscosity of fluid and V is the velocity of that particle. Another thing is the weight. Okay, that weight will be acting in downward direction. Drag force is acting in upward direction while the weight is acting in downward direction. So weight can be given as 4 by 3 into pi r cube into gamma s. Gamma s nothing but the unit weight of a solids, because this is a soil particle. Okay, so that's why it is considered as a gamma s. So 4 by 3 pi r cube, that gamma s can be written as rho s multiplied by g. Then after that there will be the upthrust. Okay, that is nothing but the force applied by water in upward direction on that certain spherical particle. Okay, that can be written as 4 by 3 into pi r cube multiplied by gamma w, that is nothing but the unit weight of water, and it can be simply written as 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho w into g. Okay. Now the drag force is acting in upward direction, weight is acting in downward direction, upthrust is acting in upward direction. So taking the sum of all these vertical forces, okay, and applying equilibrium conditions. So weight is in downward direction, so simply it can be written as 4 by 3 into pi r cube into rho s into g is equal to drag force, that is in upward direction. Upthrust is also in upward direction. So 4 by 3 upthrust, I have written 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho w into g plus 6 pi r. So on this spherical particle there will be three forces. First one is the weight, second is the drag force, and upthrust because of the water. So now we will take sum of all these vertical forces and we will apply equilibrium condition, that is nothing but the summation of Fy is equal to 0. Okay, so summation of Fy is equal to 0. So now we want to find out the velocity. So I will take this term to this side. So it will become minus 6 pi r eta into v is equal to 4 by 3 into pi r cube into rho w into g minus 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho s into g. Now multiplying by a negative sign. So this will become positive, this will become negative, and this will be again positive. Now V is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube rho s into g divided by 6 pi r eta. Now this pi and this pi will get cancelled, this r and this r will get cancelled, and it becomes r square. So now simplifying this, we will get V is equal to 4 by 18 into r square divided by eta into rho s into g. Again, if we simplify this, we will get 2 by 9. Okay, d by 2 is nothing but the r, so replacing this r square by d by 2, so it will become d square by 4 multiplied by eta into rho s into g. So we got V is equal to 2 by 36 d square divided by eta. Okay, so we got rho s minus rho w. Okay, now multiplying and dividing on the both sides by rho w. So V into rho w divided by rho w, 2 by 36, it is 1 by 18. 1 by 18 into eta into d square into g. Okay, so rho s multiplied by rho w divided by rho w minus rho w square divided by rho w. So this rho w and this rho w get cancelled. Rho s by rho w is nothing but g, that is nothing but a specific gravity of solids. So V is equal to d square by g divided by 18 eta into g into rho w minus rho w. Okay, so this rho w can be taken common, so g minus 1 into rho w. Okay, so this is the final equation that is derived based on this Stokes law. V is equal to d square by g divided by 18 eta multiplied by, in bracket, g minus 1 multiplied by rho w. So from this equation we know that the velocity of a certain particle which is settling in a fluid out of water of an infinite extent is directly proportional to diameter square. So it means that if a certain particle is having more dia, then it will settle at more velocity as compared to another particle which is having smaller diameter. Okay, so that's all about this Stokes law. So this is the basic equation that we got for a spherical particle which is settling in a fluid of an infinite extent. Okay, that fluid is nothing but this water. Let us consider that particle is settling for a height h and in a time t. So the velocity is given by distance upon time. So v is equal to h. Let us consider h in a centimeter and t in second. So suppose t is in a minute, then to have it in a second, it is multiplied by 60. So it is 60 t. So h by 60 t is equal to, we want to find out the diameter of that particle which is settling in the fluid. So how we can find out it? H by 60 t as it is multiplied by 18 eta divided by g into capital G minus 1 multiplied by rho w, okay, is equal to d square. After solving this, we got h by t into 3 by 10, so it is 0.3 multiplied by eta into g multiplied by capital G minus 1 multiplied by rho w is equal to d square. So d is equal to root of, now replace this term, m is equal to root of, okay, so this equation can be written as d is equal to m into root of h by t. Now, if we know the viscosity of water, the specific gravity of a solid particle which is settling in a water, acceleration due to gravity, the density of water, and the height for which the certain particle is settling and the time required for it, then we can easily find out the diameter of that certain particle. So the Stokes law has given us a certain equation that states that the velocity of a settling particle is directly proportional to its diameter. When the particle is having more diameter, it will be having more settling velocity. If the particle is having lesser diameter as compared to the another particle, then it will be having lesser velocity as compared to that particle. So that's all about this Stokes law. Depending on this theory, we have developed certain instrument that helps us to perform sedimentation analysis of particles which are finer than 75 micron size. So that's all for today. In the next session, we will see the theory of sedimentation and hydrometer method which is developed based on this Stokes law. Thank you so much.